Right, that's cool.
Yes, people. Oh, 1 second, I've gone a bit blurry there, but we're here, live and kicking. Big up to everybody who's tuned in. You know what I'm saying? It's been a madness day. Big up to everybody who's tuning in right now for the Man United Unfiltered podcast. We have two guests in the building. One of them is coming. Charlie couldn't make it with us today. He is, I think he's on his way to work. So big up to Charlie. But we have Adam in the building. Adam, how are you, mate? Feel all good?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you, bro. I'm all right. Hope you're good too.
Yeah, man, all good, all good. And Neji, man, thanks for coming on, bro. Big up to you, bro.
Yeah, love, man. Thanks for having me on, bro. Hope we're all good.
Yeah, man, everyone good. Big up to everybody who's tuned in. You know what to do. Like the video, subscribe if you're new. We're gonna get straight into this, man. Manchester United today drawn against Atletico Madrid. Before that, we were drawn against, PSG. Adam, we're gonna start off with you. What a day, man. What a day. Obviously, it must have been a bit early on your side of the woods. So you must have been waking up to all the breaking news. But what have you made of this fiasco, this crazy day in the UEFA? Are you
Yeah, I
surprised?
think it's a bad week for sports in general. We had Formula One, now we have this. It doesn't look good, does it? Like it's
No.
proper embarrassing. And I think it's incompetence, like gross incompetence at a level where it shouldn't happen. It really should not happen. This is the Champions League. It's embarrassing. It really is embarrassing. So yeah, I woke up. The first draw had already happened, but by the moment I woke up, like we just had the news about Atletico Madrid, like it had just landed. So I don't know how to feel about it. Really, I really don't know. Atletico are tough to beat. Atletico are tough to beat. Tough side. So I don't know, man. I'm still making my mind up about this whole situation.
Yeah, absolutely. Neji, man, obviously, you know what I mean? You would have been in some space as well today, but just in general, your feeling, man, how has today been for you, your reaction to the whole Champions League debacle today?
Yeah, bro, it was absolute madness at one point. I was sitting there thinking, this is crazy. We get PSG, and I think, you know what? You know what's sad? The first thing in my head was like, this is fixed. Bear in mind, before I say that, I did actually want PSG personally. No cap, I genuinely wanted them. But we can get into that a little bit later. But when it come out, I was just thinking, nah, this is definitely fixed though. 100%. They definitely want to see Ronaldo, Messi straight away. But anyway, as I said, moving on. Luckily, we got it redone, and I think Atletico Madrid poses a different challenge for us, man. And I'm happy to see that by the time we get to Champions League, Ralph should have had this team pretty much ready to go. And I think if they're ready to go by that time, especially at the moment where he has his first 11 already, I think we should be in for a good couple of fixtures around the time the Champions League starts. Obviously, Saeed just left us here, but I think he's coming back. Hopefully,
Here we're here.
There he is.
Apologies.
Yeah, but I agree with you there, Neji. Absolutely agree with you. And I think it's a very good point you just said. It's a different type of challenge, Atletico Madrid. And I'd much rather play Atletico Madrid just based on I'm just tired of PSG actually. Like I want to see other top teams. And we shouldn't be afraid of anyone. Like we need to get rid of this mentality we had of just we want the easy like whoever comes in. Like this is Manchester United at the end of the day. We are trying to move forward and let's bring it. And I agree with you, bro.
You know the thing for me though is I think like Neji says, Atletico Madrid pose a different threat, and I don't think we're kind of maybe ready for that threat. Maybe we could be ready by the time we play them in February, but I think PSG, Adam, you know what I mean, they're still not cohesive. They're not really kind of Pochettino is still struggling to find the right chemistry, the right kind of adaptation. Do you think, big up Wolves in the building, do you think that was a kind of the right one? Which one would you rather had, PSG or Atletico Madrid? And in terms of tactically, would probably be better for us?
I think tactically, maybe PSG would have suited us more, but they would have been more likely to really storm us with a few goals.
Yeah.
When Atletico Madrid, the thing is, if they go and sit and defend, it's going to be a very long evening trying to break them down. And if we have a bad evening in defense, I mean, they still have good players to hit us. Like they are a properly organized team. So tactically, the thing with PSG, I don't rate them. I don't rate PSG. I like their manager and I like their players, but I don't like the whole thing together. I just don't like it. I like Pochettino. I like Verratti is one of my favorite players in Europe. I like many of their players, but the whole thing, it's a bit disappointing. So, and they have just too many big egos. They're not really focused on the football. PSG, they feel like the Champions League is going to win itself by signing big names. That's not really how it works. It really isn't how it works.
Musa, big up to you for coming on, bro. Today, man, madness happened today. UEFA doing a bit of koalas, man. They were doing a bit of a madness today. And, they were doing some crazy stuff, man. What have you made of it? PSG first, and then Atletico Madrid. And are you happy by the outcome? How's the overall feeling? Your reaction to the draw, Champions League?
Yeah, I feel like I think with Atletico, it's a bit more. It's easier for us to kind of prepare tactically, I think, against Atletico because they are what they are. Do you know what I mean? I think it gives us time to just look back and say, this is how they play, this is what they do. It's a bit more straightforward. I think with PSG, there's a lot of, what's that, Ole Gunnar freestyle up front. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, so you can't prepare for that stuff there. When people are doing what they want to do, the manager's not really got a say in how they play. He only controls like the back six, or if that, or the seven, I should say. And then after that, the front three do what they want to do. So I think with Atletico and seeing how Liverpool dealt with them, I think by the time we get Atletico, if we've kind of settled into our pattern of play and how we want to play and how we want to play this game, especially with Ralph, then I think we should be in a good position to go on to the next stage. You know what I mean? I'm not too worried.
Even with the way they play, they don't really kind of want to play football. Even with all that, they're still for you. Are you still thinking that we can get a game plan? I just think for me, are we best suited to Bayern Munich or are we best suited to PSG? I think we're best suited to PSG. If it's going to be counter-attack, it'll be counter-attack. If it's not, Atletico Madrid will sit back, they'll relax, they'll hunt us down if they have to, they'll press us if they have to. Are we there mentally for that kind of team? Suarez as well coming back. If they've got hunters, man, Simeone as well as a manager.
I think overall, yeah, when you look at it, as I was just saying to my point on your original question at the start of the stream, like by the time we start that Champions League round, we'd have played a hell load of fixtures. Rangnick should have at least been able to see who his best 11 is by then, and most of the team should, or even if they're benched, they should be nailing down 60-70% of the basics of Rangnick's tactics. With the quality that we have on top of that by nature, we should be able to feel confident going into it. But it all depends on how these games go moving forward, regardless of the opposition. We've got Brentford potentially Tuesday, may not be happening tomorrow. Then we got Brighton, I believe. All teams that play different football, but can hold their own at the moment. And if you beat those teams and do it comfortably by dominating them, by the time Champions League comes on, you've got to fancy yourself and go, this team is ready to compete against that Atletico Madrid for two rounds.
You know what, Adam? You know what I mean? It's one of them situations of, when you're in the Champions League, you have to play everyone. You know what I mean? Tactically, Bayern Munich, what do you reckon they'll give us? What do you reckon they'll pose any threat? People are saying, I like DePaul, they've got good players in there, technical players, Griezmann, Atletico Madrid,
the thing is, counter-pressing team are not really ideal for sit-back, low-block team. And by the end of the year, we will become a gegen-pressing team, a counter-pressing team. So Rangnick, Jurgen Klopp, those managers, they usually do well against teams that want to have the ball. That's why Jurgen Klopp's record against Pep, for example, and possession-based team is actually very good. So I don't believe we are, at this moment, of course, we are not, because Rangnick just came in, but we are not, Atletico Madrid are not really suited for us, but at the same time, we are not really suited for them as well. Like, it just feel weird because we will not be drilled enough to pose them a problem like Liverpool. But since they don't have the ball and they are not like a Bayern Munich or a City team, they are not good enough with the ball to play us around. So it will be very weird the way we come into this game. If we had been with Ralph for maybe 2 years, for example, then we have a very similar game to Liverpool, Atletico Madrid. You know what they do, and we know what we do. But at the time being, when it come in February, I don't believe we will be there. So we will not be as threatening to them and they won't be as threatening to us as well, because we are just still finding our way out. So from a tactical point of view, I think it will be very, very interesting. But we need to be able to keep the ball. We can't have Ronaldo, Bruno, and Rashford. And this is something clear, because if we are not going to play against a team that keeps the ball, that means we will have it more. And we need people who can actually keep the ball. And as we saw, the last game against Norwich, that was pretty embarrassing, the performances we had in there.
Yeah, absolutely. We're gonna discuss that. Neji, you know what I mean? Just to kind of round up the Champions League. Do you reckon we'll need any kind of recruitment in the January to kind of compete in that, or are you happy with the squad? Varane coming back, Pogba coming back as well.
I'll be honest, I do genuinely believe that, not because of the talent as well, but quite evidently some of the mindsets that we've got at the club, they don't really want to be there, I don't think. And I think they're going to struggle to adapt just because they're not ready to apply themselves, which is fine, by the way. There's all the reasons before Rangnick coming in to suggest why you would feel a type of way and kind of feel into yourself, But I think come January, there's got to be outgoings. And with those outgoings, depending on who you bring in, you need someone who knows what they're doing. They understand what Rangnick will be able to do and be able to do it a lot quicker. And potentially maybe someone that Rangnick's probably played with before and had relations with, so that they instantly have an impact on the team. If we could do that in January, that would be incredible. But I do generally believe it depends on outgoings and how quick we can get those outgoings done. As we know, it's a difficult one, and with the COVID happening as well, who knows how long transfers are going to take and all of that kind of malarkey, man. So we definitely need players, bro. Got no doubt about it. Whether we get them, I'm unsure.
Yeah, big up to Mohamed Azaid. He says our record against Spain team is not good. That's my worry. Musa, what do you reckon to that one? There to be climbed, like Ollie said, man.
Yeah, it's difficult, man. But how's Ronaldo against Atletico? How's his record against them?
It's a good record.
Huh?
I think it's pretty good.
3 hat-tricks, yeah?
3 hat-tricks against them. This is what I'm saying. So Ronaldo's going to be telling the man them in the dressing room, you lot calm down, man. I got this, man. This with the ball, man. Like I've dealt with them before. I think if we've got Cavani and Ronaldo up front, and then we've got the team behind them set up right to give them the ball, I think we'll punish them. I think Cavani and Ronaldo definitely punishes them. But right now, what's worrying me really is Bruno and the Sancho position. That those 2 10s are quite worrying to me in terms of what's going on. So I've been thinking in my head, can we even put Bruno next to Fred? Like, I don't know. I've been thinking, can that happen? Because can Bruno, because can he keep the, can we make him do something simple where, because I know he's aggressive, I know he can hunt down the ball. Can we make him just hunt down the ball and just play it simple for now?
Sorry to interject you, King. Would you not play him higher up the field, right? So, because his ball retention isn't the greatest as we know, but higher up the pitch where he maybe is a striker, or a centre forward, or a 9, he'll do more damage consistently rather than when he's got the ball at his feet in midfield. That's just
I'm with you as well, but I've been thinking to myself, playing in the 10s as high as he's going to get right now. And I'm thinking to myself, we want him to be a bit more simple. So I'm thinking, and I know he can do simple, I think, but his ball retention, the problem is he's trying to do these like Hollywood passes. Yeah. And I think the Hollywood passes are getting him in trouble. So can we get him back to his core game of popping it off simple?
Love hero ball.
He's kind of
they're looking more like Nollywood at the moment. I'll be honest.
Yeah. That's what I'm trying to say. We're looking a bit, it's peak for us. I'm thinking it's like, can we get him to do the simple things? Because Bruno can be press resistant. He can be quick off the turn, like get the ball and pop it and go. And he can also be someone that's good at setting the press. So can we push him a bit further back where he can give a nice through ball in, but a lot of the time just popping it off simple next to Fred? And can we put Pogba and Van der Beek in front of them two? Do you know what I'm saying? Can we do something different? I don't know, but I'm just thinking, where are we at? Because Scott's been playing well, but we need someone next to Fred who can kind of get the ball to the 10s. But I'm kind of worried that even giving the ball to the 10s right now is not really working.
Absolutely. You know, the back 6, I would say, is doing all right. But the front, what do you say, 4? Yeah, the front 4 is not doing well.
That's what I'm saying. Like Sancho, cool, I get it, but still, I'm not seeing enough. And I think Rashford, we know what's going on, and then Bruno's having a bad game. So I'm thinking, you know, if Pogba and that was fit, really, I will try. To me, Pogba and Donny tells me they're going to keep the ball. That's how I feel, and they're going to pop it off, and they're not going to. But you know what else is happening? The same thing that happened to Pogba is happening to Bruno. You know, in that they've tried all these Hollywood balls, they've tried to be the man. And it's kind of starting to backfire them with the fans where people are just like, you know what, it's too much. Like, we want you to play it simple. And I think that happened to Pogba. Then we moved him back. And then, the rest is history. He loses a couple balls. And the thing about these, man, when they get the ball, they're kind of press resistant. So they're not scared. So a lot of the time, Pogba will hold off 2 man looking like who wants the ball. And then when no one wants it, after about 5 or 10 seconds, he then plays back. Or he might lose it. But he's not scared to like hold off 2 man and say who wants it. But no one really ever wants it. But I think one player that always makes himself available and pops it off quickly is Donny van der Beek. So I don't know how this guy's going to get into the team.
Yeah, I don't know as well.
Available, bro. He always makes himself available and he pops it off simple. And sometimes when you're Pogba or Bruno, you need a man like that you know that if you give him the ball, it's kind of, you know, back in the day when you used to play in school and you just hit off the wall, a little 1-2 off the wall and go again. These men always give you the ball back. Whereas sometimes you give it to Scott, he's not going to give it back. You give it to Fred, they're not going to give it back. They're going to try and go backwards, whatever. So I don't know, man. We need to get Donny on the pitch. And I think getting him in the right position and getting him on the pitch is going to have a massive impact on us going forward. But we've got some players that are kind of off form right now, man. So it's difficult, man.
This is what we're going to talk about. Leji, I put the title, Rashford and Bruno, do they need to be dropped? What's your take on these two in particular? Because they were under criticism against Norwich. They're failing to keep the ball well. Do we have the players to drop them? You know what I mean? Donny doesn't seem to be getting game time. You know, Pogba's out. You know, you look at the bench, it was only Elanga, Rashford and Greenwood. You know, it's not really great. It's not someone that can really get... It's not strong enough, even though for me, it started off with the season with a very, very kind of squad depth. But what do you make of them two, Rashford and Bruno? We're just going to discuss this for a bit now.
Yeah, man. I'll be honest. Bruno and Rashford both need dropping. I don't think there's a sound person or logical person out there that could say otherwise. If you know football, you can see they need dropping. If I'm okay to go on an individual basis, starting with Rashford, I feel sorry for Rashford, and I have for a long time, even when he was bagging in goals. When he was bagging in goals and getting his GA, I was watching him from a specific footballing point in terms of overall footballer. and parts of his game were so underdeveloped that majority of the fan base were kind of looking past it because he was getting GA. Prime example was the Wolves game. He should have come off that game, but obviously bagging that winner, that was all that made the headlines. And I think a lot in the fan base tend to look at, oh well, if he does well in 5 minutes in the 90, that's good enough, and they think it's a one-off. But overall, you look at it, he's not consistent at having longer spells of good performances, and it's a shame to see. I mean, I put all my blame, and I say this with chess, I put all my blame on the owners and the board. And this is why it doesn't sound like it's 2 + 2 = 4 when I say Rashford's performance is down to the board. But hear what I'm about to say. When you have a structure at a club, your young players, they have a mode to be able to develop before they reach their prime. Manchester United hired Van Gaal, plays a certain style of football. Rashford just got brought in through that time. The age that Rashford was there up until Jose Mourinho, for me, those are prime development years. Rashford had consistency in the style of football along with talent around him of experience. Yeah. During the period when Rashford came into Manchester United's lineup, yes, the team was looking great, but ultimately we weren't really challenging the way we wanted to challenge. So there was a lot of pressure put onto Rashford's talent because we didn't have any other hope anywhere elsewhere. These are remember when I'm saying this, guys, this is his development years we're talking about, right? When a player irons out the fundamentals of your game. He's then gone to having a Jose Mourinho, and with the greatest of respect again, a player like Rashford does not suit a Jose Mourinho style football. It just does not. You could make him work, but it doesn't suit him. And also the development of Jose Mourinho. Jose Mourinho does not develop players. He likes senior, born and ready players. So again, there's a mix match from Van Gaal up until Jose Mourinho. When he comes under Ollie, he plays direct where he can rely on his talent, running in behind, taking a man on and shooting. When you've got a manager and a coach that says, just do your best, just have a go, take a man on.
Yeah.
With respect to Ollie, that favours a talented player like Rashford. That's something you would tell genuinely an under 18, an under 19 with the basic level of coaching. The fundamentals of Rashford game has not been drilled or coached into him. So now he's under a manager who requires those basic fundamentals and more. His talent is no longer good enough. So you saw it against Norwich where the ball's being fizzed into him and he did well to hold it up when he had a defender on his back. He was passing the ball backwards. Now, an intelligent player would say you could either pop that off sideways as one-to-one link-ups and keep it moving. So this is what I'm saying. When the board have got no structure, they have no idea or style of play that they want to maintain throughout a long period of time. Because all they're doing is going, CV manager, he plays this way, he plays that way. So then they bring in players that suit the manager that they have, but it's too short term. So the squad is imbalanced in that respect. Rashford has missed out on development years. And I thank to God that Greenwood is not going to be in the same position because we have Rangnick there and hopefully Ten Hag towards the end of the season. So just on Rashford, and I'll let someone else take Bruno because I want to take the spotlight too much. But just on Rashford for me, again, he lacks coaching. You can see he's underdeveloped, and him playing on top of injuries. I'm not going to sit here and say Rashford isn't to blame. 100% he is to blame as well. But I'd say if you look at the entirety of his career, 30% of it, for me personally, looking at it, is on Rashford, i.e. you're injured, you're still putting yourself out for the team. It's all right to be a worry and look like you're sick, but you're damaging yourself. We're in an era where it's not 1990s and 2000s where you have to be robust, as Ollie would say. You have sports scientists, you have psychologists, you have nutritionists, which allow you to play longer if you stick to your regime. So, you know what I mean? For me, and I'll finish on this, excuse me, I've got a dry throat, man, still coughing, it's mad. Yeah, for me, I think if you're Rashford, you take the 6.5 months or 5.5 months left that we've got left under Rangnick. You play off the bench. You play 20-minute cameos. You get your body back fit. You focus on solid rehab and you do over rehab. So you're to a level where you can actually perform on the pitch. And then you go and put your head in the books and start to learn how to play the system and rebuild those development years that he's lost. I think that's the only way he's gonna come good for us. Other than that, I hate to say it now, but he may be looking like he either finishes his career at 26, 28 due to his injuries, or we end up selling him for about 60 to 80 million, and that won't sit well with people. But realistically, that's where it's headed. I hope it doesn't get that far.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Big up to everybody in the building. Make sure you like the video, people. Imperative you do that. So big up to everybody who's watching. Samuel Chukwuka says, guys, I fear Atletico Madrid, they'll rattle us. Suarez, man, yeah, absolutely. Suarez will be a key figure for them. Adam, I'm going to come to you next. Bruno Fernandes, Rashford. You know, I want to say how they're becoming a problem for United because they've got a lot of goals, they've got a lot of GA. You know what I mean? They contribute to United, but they're also in this system. Does it suit them? You know, how would you tactically, you know, kind of analyze these two in the system, because they were the ones where they didn't do well against Norwich, did they? Ronaldo also did do well, but he got the goal. But you know, these two in particular didn't do well at all.
Yeah. And going back to what Musa said earlier about Bruno maybe dropping him next to Fred, or talking about putting maybe higher up the pitch next to Ronaldo, Bruno doesn't have to play necessarily. This is a new Manchester United. Now we are moving forward. Doesn't necessarily have to play. And if we play so high up the pitch, like Rangnick wants us to do, and in the opposition half, the deepest player we have are actually quite high. So you could put Pogba next to Fred, and you could actually exploit Pogba's attacking abilities and passing range. Bruno doesn't really necessarily have to play. He doesn't. If he plays, that's because he plays well, and he deserves a spot in the starting 11. And the same for Marcus Rashford. Now the thing is, Marcus Rashford for me has been poor for well over 2 years, and I say it probably every week. And people they just don't agree, and they chat to me and they but Martial can't really compare the two, both on talent and on opportunity given, and on media and fan base protection. This is not a very fair situation. But putting that aside, Rashford hasn't been good for a long time. Going back to what Neji said, his development years have been like a mess. Like Neji is absolutely spot on that in that regards. But another thing, and going back to the owners, that's a very good point, Neji. And not only because of what you said, but we have American owners who come in with an American sport mentality where you need to have one player like you draft from your area, and you give him the max contract, you give him the number, it's like, I don't know for which NFL team, for example, will draft the player, the first overall pick, they will draft it for their local university because he's the one, like they want him to be that guy. For example, the Edmonton Oilers in the NHL hockey, they will draft Connor McDavid because he's the best talent there, but he's from the area as well. And the Globes did the same thing with Rashford. The number 10 came too early. It came too early. The Cleveland Cavaliers did the same thing with LeBron James. Of course, LeBron James is greatness, but of course they were going to take him just based on that. And that's an American sport thing. And that's why Rashford got that number 10 way too early, that undroppable status way too early. So not only has his development years been like messed up, but he has come to believe himself to be as good as they think. He needs to humble up a bit. He needs to like step it down and go back to the basics, because what we've said for a long time, the very fundamental basics of Rashford's game are missing. A lot of them are missing. Control the ball. Just lift your head up. Look for a pass. Just look for an option and pass the ball. That's very basic. And people always talk about Rashford IQ. I don't think he has very, very good footballing IQ. You can't really improve IQ, because if we could improve IQ, we would start with those in need. We would start with children. We start with people with traumatic brain injuries, development, and we would not start with Marcus Rashford. So you cannot improve IQ on a very specific topic. It doesn't make sense. It would be probably the greatest scientific revolution, just let alone improving Marcus Rashford. So going back to Marcus Rashford, Bruno Fernandes, and Rangnick, I actually quite agree with Rangnick picking the same 11 right now, because as I said on the previous podcast, Saeed, if Rangnick comes in and drops Rashford, drops Bruno, drops Maguire, it just creates a new type of toxicity within the squad. The manager comes in with ideas and conceptions and ideas about the squad. So now you have the players that we believe can be important. Bruno can be important. Rashford can be very important. Maybe Maguire as well, or Bissaka. But you don't want them to feel hard done by. So now you play. You need to play. You need to have discipline. You need to have work ethic. This is what I reproach. This is what I have against Rashford that I don't have against Bruno. Bruno might drop an absolute 0 out of 10, but he's involved in the game. He tries it at least. Sometimes Rashford doesn't look interested at all. I could actually quite agree with Ragnick putting the same team again and again, and then making subs, bringing players in, and then will come a time where the team clicks. And if Rashford and Bruno don't do the job, well, then they will have a hard time getting back into the team. And I'm here for it. I'm here for it because either they do it and we win, or they don't and we have someone else come in. Everybody has clean slates for me. Everybody.
Musa, I'm going to come to you next in terms of, are these guys coachable, these two, because they like to do what they want, you know what I mean? They're very, very much kind of, under Ollie, they were the favourites. Do you reckon Ragnick can get hold of them? Can he coach them to the level he wants to? Or is he just out of control now where he doesn't have the numbers to kind of bring competition in there? You know what I mean? How do you assess them? You know what I mean? Because then again, these guys will have their bad and good form. You know what I mean? But Rashford hasn't been the same for me for about a year. And Bruno hasn't been great this season in terms of the start of the season when he started on fire. Him and Ronaldo, we'll talk about does that not work and what works. But just including them, can Ragnick get them involved? Can he get them playing better?
Yeah, man, I think he can. And I think, to be honest as well, what everyone's saying, I think these players can be dropped. I think we do have the squad to actually bring in players. I think we can bring players to replace Bruno and Rashford. And at the same time, I want to see the manager be a bit more. I want him to be flexible with his system, because right now I think as United fans for a long time we've always said that the 4-3-3 suits us best. But I think now with the type of players that we're I think that we might be best suited for that. And I know that he's very tactical aware, but I don't know. I just don't want him to get stuck, because if you look at Tuchel's very much the same. He played a very similar system, but when he got to Chelsea and he saw what he needed to do, he just went to the three at the back. He played a pressing game in the middle of the park, but he kind of adapted to what was best to his players. And I think looking at some of the wide players that we have and some of the young players that we got, I think we can add more. We can have more of an impact with the players that we got in the 4-3-3, with the two coming off on the side there, with the forwards and with. So for me, I want to see a bit of both. I want to see the manager also just say, you know what, show us something different and say, you know what, because I think he tried a 4-3-3 before. I think in his second game, or is it the first game? He tried it and it didn't work. And then he went, I think that was the first game. He tried a 4-3-3, it didn't work. And then he got Fletcher to come on there and tell him to go into the 4-2-2-2. So I feel like, yeah, he shouldn't be afraid, because at the same time, if it's not working, yeah, man, just show us something different. Because as a fan base, we're believing in his process, and we're believing in terms of his tactical awareness and what he can bring to the team. So I would say I would bring Donny. I would even bring Ahmed on. You know what I mean? I would bring him in because he's tidy with the ball. Even in Europe, to me the other day, he's very tidy with the ball. He's very nice with the ball, and it's very different bringing in these players with a reserve team and the first team. So I would bring in, one of the young players if I have to. Like I would bring in Ahmed if I had to in front of Bruno, and at the same time again up front, depending what's going on with Martial, I want to see Martial up front, man. I really want to see him.
Martial. His agent's come out. He said he wants to leave. I think Ralph Ragnick has come out and said something. Or if he wants to leave, then he needs to come to me, which I thought was strong words. He's starting to get control, Deji, of the squad. Yep. When you look at him, man, it's one of them, man. You like this, man, but can he get control of this squad? Sorry,
I think there's no doubt for me, but I mean, I know he's coming with this high level of respect. People have respected what he's trying to do already. So with that respect that's given freely from fans and the players, there seems to be a level of trust there. When you've got that, then you can start to push the boat a little bit more and start to be a little bit more direct with players. And his comments have come out, and it may rattle a couple of people and make people feel on edge, but not too much where it's like, oh my God, I no longer respect this man. It's like, oh, fair play. Like, he's a serious man. We know he's serious. We trust that he's serious because we know what he's like. So with respect, let me put respect on him and say, you know what, he is right still. And I think it's a slow process. I go through the same process at work with some of the young people that I have to work with, and you bring them out their shell and stuff. It's a slow process in terms of that having that mature and respectful relationship and professional relationship with with the young people that I work with, and it'd be the same with Ralph and him coming out saying that it's not a shout at Martial. He's not really directed at Martial. He's directed at Martial's agent, and he's kind of just brushed it to one side to say, you know what, it's right for him to say that, but if basically the players never said it to me or never gone to the board, then ultimately what he's saying is he's still a Man United player and wants to be here, and that takes some guts, man, to do that so soon. So if Martial now comes out and says to the manager, I want to go, and then Ralph handles that with dignity and respect, then that shows to the other players that, it's okay if you want to leave, but you're going to do it respectfully. You're going to respect the club and you're going to respect the players as well. And that will shut some of the agencies up, man. And I think he'd be great handling Mino Raiola because he's just got away with words and he just reels off his tongue just so easy, just to be able to shut things down in a respectful manner, but still come out on top as a boss. And I really rate how he's handled the situation, man.
Do you think, you know what I mean, in terms of the front four, Leisure, then can that work? Can Ronaldo play with Bruno? Is this a myth? What can Rangnick
right
get them for? Not right now. No. Not
right now, King. No. I mean, I love the psychology of just humans in general, so I'll always talk from that angle. And you know, with my experience in sport at a high level, I'm always going to side with the psychology and the learning abilities of sportsmen and women, of course. And so when you look at your ability to be able to adapt, although you're consciously making the effort to adapt, your subconscious takes over a majority of the time in the first few stages if you're learning something new. And when you're so engrossed in the game or in the moment, you're not always thinking 100%. So sometimes you get into your subconscious ways. I think this happened at Norwich as well. You start to see look like Ollie Ball. It looked like you were scrambling, didn't know what they were doing. And it takes a while for you to be able to turn what you've learned, that new stuff that you've learned, into your natural ability, that you naturally do it. And a few examples, great examples that we've got is Raheem Sterling and Mo Salah. Mo Salah was never a pressy merchant, and he was never actually playing the way he plays at Liverpool in terms of fitting the style and structure. He never did that before. Now you've seen him over that period of time. He looks like a robot ultimately when he's moving. So does the rest of the other team. Same with Raheem Sterling. Doesn't give you that spark. But if you watch how he actually plays the game now, it's very robotic and systematic in terms of his movements of patterns, his decision making. Some players who don't have raw talent but still fit a system good enough show that you can do a job. We used to have players like John O'Shea and Phil Neville and Darren Fletcher, Park Ji-sung, although I still believe Park Ji-sung had more talent than those guys. They were limited on talent, but they did their job and did it consistently well whenever they played. So it made them important to the team. We're talking about players with incredible talent who are way more talented than these guys. But again, they lack the fundamentals. In the short period of time that Rangnick's got them, bear in mind we're getting another manager at the end as it stands, we can't really make them learn during the games that they're playing. We need to make them earn it on the pitch. And literally, like their extra homework should be when you're not playing, you should be studying the game and learning how to do your job and fitting it around. And that's what I think Rashford and Bruno need ultimately. So to answer your question specifically, I don't think Bruno and Ronaldo can play together as it stands now, but maybe in the future they could. That's just, I think we've got too many direct players.
Adam, is it balanced? Do you know what I mean? Is Ralph Rangnick have to find the balance, man? You can't just have big names in there. You know, Greenwood for me should be starting ahead of Rashford. Can he get the names instead of looking at maybe the big names? Does he have to kind of come out of his shell now and say, right, we'll give you a few more games, guys, here, but sooner or later you might even see, I don't know, you might see Greenwood and Cavani up top. You know, you might see a balance too up top. You know, because something on Martial, Martial, Ronaldo. You know, you have to find a balance, man.
Yeah, 100%. And another thing is, with the moment the team starts winning, those players who were not big names will become big names. Like Bernardo Silva is a big name now. Ilkay Gundogan is a big name now. So Amad Diallo can become a big name. Martial can become one of the world's best. Greenwood can be just an absolute superstar. If Manchester United start going Premier League, Champions League, FA Cups, like if we are serious again, no problem with that. Absolutely no problem in that. And I think it is exactly what he's doing right now, Saeed. To answer your question, he's trying to find the balance, and he's also assessing like how the players react under stress. How do they react in a comfortable situation? How How do they fall asleep when it's 1-0, 2-0? Like, do they go back into their old habits? Like, he's a very methodical man, and this is part of the things we don't have access to. So he's trying to figure out, and he's trying to understand those players probably better than any manager or staff member in the last 6 years. Like, it has to go back to Van Gaal. And going back to what Neji said, which is a very good point, like just in regular day-to-day activities, it takes about 21 days to build or break a habit. Like, just for example, quit smoking, for example, or waking up early, trying to change your sleeping. It takes about 21 days to build or break the habits, usually. Like, just so now we are talking tactics and pressing, and it will take more than 21 games because they don't train every single day in the same way. So it will take a bit of time until they process that. And as you said, the system will make the player look way better, or in the absence of system will make the player way worse. For example, look at Gini Wijnaldum at Liverpool. He really thought he was that man, wasn't he? Like, he was like dealing with Barcelona and PSG, and he was like really dealing a contract. He was that good because he was with Klopp, because he fitted the system. He runs like a mad. Where is he now? He's not nowhere near the same player, Wijnaldum. And the same thing can be applied to many other players. For example, it's Haidara from Leipzig we are linked to. Put Haidara with Ole, and you don't have the pressing machine. You won't have the same player one bit. So it will take a bit of time to go back to your answer, and taking time first to build the good habits and the mechanism. And for Sir Alex Ferguson, in his book, he said, the first book talking about Barcelona, he did understand how those players could play like that every week, the same 11, and never get injured. And people like reaching out with the drugs and everything and cheating. But the thing is, it's like riding a bike. It's like running a marathon. There comes a point where your body and your brain are just in perfect harmony. You don't tire as much. You don't tire as much when you know what to do and when to do it, and when you have triggers. When the ball moves to the side, this is how we do. When the ball comes in the middle, this is how we do. They don't think about it. Those players could not even tell you why or how they got triggered at this point. They just do it, become natural. And this, of course, it will take a bit of time to find the balance and to get those habits in.
Yeah. I just got some breaking news from the Premier League. The league can today confirm between Monday, the 6th of December and Sunday, the 12th of December, 3,805 players and club staff were tested positive for COVID-19. Were tested for COVID-19. Of these, there were 49 new positive cases. So it's not looking great, man. It's not looking great. We are going to touch on that in a bit. I just want to get Multa's last opinion on the Bruno and Rashford combination in terms of how we're going to get these guys firing, the chemistry. We can't just put out big names, man. The Galacticos didn't win. Did they not win the Champions League, or did they only win one trophy in their time? I think it was something like that. So we can't have this big... Sorry?
They were not that great. Absolutely, you're right.
Yeah, exactly. So we need to have balance, man, Nuruddin. Do we have that balance? Can we get that balance?
Yeah. See what I'm thinking right now? I think the first two games, after he came in from the Arsenal game, he didn't change the squad, and I get it. But there's no excuses not to change this squad. We need to I'm expecting changes in the next lineup. You know what I mean? I'm like the manager's got to earn his buck right now. Because for me, I got it after the first game, like when he played the same 11. But after what we saw the other day, he can't be telling us that that's the same team that's going out there and they're going to give us something different. He has to he has to change it, man. He has to, maybe like we said, putting Rashford on the bench, letting him come on for the last half an hour with his pace.
Does he have options though? Do you reckon he has options?
He's got the options. We've seen the bench. I think he's got options. The players are there. Why can't he start Greenwood? Why can't he start Sancho? Why can't he start? Okay, example. Why can't he start Sancho and Ronaldo up front?
Yeah, true.
Why can't he start Sancho and Ronaldo?
You know what? Yeah, and as silly as some people may see it or as uncomfortable, we've actually got quite a few young players as well that have actually shown themselves to have the confidence that most didn't expect them to have on their debuts. I mean, with respect, I look at Ahmad, and yes, he wasn't an 11 out of 10 player, but for his standards and where he was and the lack of game times in the first team, I give him a good, strong 7 out of 10, and that wasn't just on the ball. I mean, off the ball, his work rate in terms of winning the ball back, tracking back.
Yeah.
Why would you not want to give that type of player, forget the age and forget the name of the player, why would you not want to give that type of player a run in the team? Like, it's only going to be good for the seniors to realize that you're at Man United, and if you're good enough, you're old enough regardless. And the first team players can then start looking at themselves, going, "Raw, my place is no longer guaranteed." Because that's the only way I've seen egos develop, is that they feel their place is guaranteed no matter what. And you're doing that, you're having that mindset at Manchester United, biggest club in the world. So therefore, you think you're better than what you are. You have to be brought down a peg. Harry Maguire, Bruno to some degree, Ronaldo to some degree. Although I don't think Ronaldo has an ego in that respect, because ego isn't self-critical. Egos generally don't self-critique themselves, so I don't really agree with that statement. But you get my gist. Like, ultimately, you look at players who need to do better, who think they're better than they are, and they could be dropped for a talent like Ahmad at times. You know, Rashford for an Ahmad isn't an issue. An Ahmad for a Sancho isn't an issue. A Greenwood coming on. Elanga's shown glimpses. Do you know what I mean? These players, even Tida Mengi, and I hold my chest on this. Tida Mengi is better than Harry Maguire, always has been, always will be. Same as Twanzebe. These are players that are competent in their position. Yeah, they're young. Yeah, they're inexperienced. But when you look at how they play the game and do it with so much ease and confidence, I'm sorry, but that's much better than a half-confident, egotistical Maguire, in my opinion. And you got to give these players a chance. Not saying start them 10 games in a row, but give them a chance to shut fans up, or either to prove me right or wrong.
I agree, man. I agree 100% because I'm thinking Brentford just came up. Like, Brentford, this is what it tells me all I need to hear. Like, I don't care how good they played or whatever. This is a champion that's come up to the Premier League. It's their first season here with the big boys. We need to just go there with our squad, Man United levels, and do what we do. Like, I don't want no excuses. We're all trying to get the game postponed because I think we had like 3 players or something that couldn't. Listen, we've got a massive squad. We need to just deal with it. We ain't got time to be getting games pushed back and stuff like that. Turn up to Brentford with your best 11 and handle business.
Yeah, absolutely. La Hawla, Aberdeen says, La Hawla, Adam, I can listen to you for hours. You need to start your own podcast. Big up everybody. Yeah, man, Adam, that's a cue for you to start your own podcast, man. You know what I mean? I told you, man.
Thank you.
Big
very
up
much.
to you,
Very
bro.
nice.
The game, you know, mostly talk about the game being cancelled. I'm going to start off with you first on this one. The game could be cancelled. You know, apparently they didn't train today. They didn't train at all today. The staff has been told to stay at home, stay indoors. Apparently, a couple of players have tested positive. Some of the camp have tested positive as well. You know, is that a concern for you? Because then you don't want to be playing against Brentford, who have trained all week, have got no cases at all. They're the last team you want to place against, who press, who got a good style of play. You know,
I'm with you, but Brentford can be turning around and saying, "Boy, we don't have money to be bringing in Cristiano Ronaldo, who's one of the best players to grace the ball. You man already coming on like with you know, you're already up already, like in terms of what you can afford to buy. Like, we can't spend the money that you can spend." I'm just like, it is what it is, man. Get your 11 out there. These are professional footballers. You know, they missed one training session. I don't want to hear that because of one missed training session, that's why they lose to Brentford. That's just, we have to be on it, because I'll tell you for free, see Pep's team will come and turn them over after missing. Pep said they didn't even train for us. They didn't even train for Man United when they slapped us over.
You know what's a concern as well? Like, outside the fans' ideas, it's also from a business perspective. Brentford need that television money, man. They need money. They need it coming in. They can't afford to lose TV rights and games. They just can't. And ticket prices as well. Like, all that is a big factor in people's decisions in terms of whether a game should go ahead or not. People just think, oh, you haven't got the fit players or not, it's okay to drop it and postpone it. But from Brentford, it's massive if they get to play the big teams, because it's like, this is good revenue money for us. And if they beat us, like, their club shops and everything have a massive fan day. Their fans go crazy. They end up buying more. They spend more. There's a lot of financial gain for Brentford to players.
100%.
And they won't want this. 100%.
Yeah, 100%. When you got United coming in town, it's always financially good for a smaller club. So I just feel like for us, we just got to turn up and do what we got to do, man. A lot of the time, I think like we can, like, I don't know, man. Sometimes the big clubs, for me, it just looks like United wants more time on the training ground. They want a bigger period of time before they can play again and have more time training the team. But I don't want that. I want the points on the board. We need the points on the board. We need to go, like, we're one of the first teams to play first, right? In that little title race tomorrow. Who else is playing tomorrow, or is meant to be playing tomorrow?
Off the top of my head, I think there's another 2 teams. I do believe there's another 2
But none
teams.
of our rivals are playing tomorrow, are they? The ones that
Yeah,
are in
we've no. Well, Man City and Leeds are playing, but no one's catching them. And we've got Norwich and Aston Villa. But the day after, Arsenal are playing West Ham.
This is what I'm saying. So we need the points on the board so that these lot go into their game panicking, thinking, okay, right, United's won that game. This is where they're at. We need to turn up. We need that. We don't want them to go in there and we got a game in hand that we haven't played and someone wins, or I don't know. I just want the points on the board. I don't want no game in hands. I want the points on the board.
Well,
and
Tottenham have got already postponed 2 games, and let's be honest, if they postpone a third, they're going to have a rush of fixtures. Absolute madness on fixtures. We don't need that level of pressure. We're already playing like every 3 to 4 games. Playing in a system that's all rushed and we're struggling. So we don't know what Man United is going to turn up or what Ralph Rangnick's side is going to turn up regardless of personnel. So we just got to take each game as it comes and try and get some consistency in the times that we're playing. We can't be having a fixture list where we're having to play Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. And then you've got your Champions League in between that as well. Like you don't want that. That's just going to be a madness. Because when are you going to play it? When else are you going to play it? We're on the out.
100%. And what I'm afraid of, if we don't play tomorrow, he doesn't change the team because he has more time with them. If we don't play tomorrow, he doesn't change the team. We have to play tomorrow, and I want to see him change the team because he's under pressure to do so. But anyhow, we don't play tomorrow, we're going to have the same team out again next game. Rashford, Bruno, they're all going to be back out there. Because he's going to have.
Is it wise enough to play tomorrow? Is it wise, guys, to play tomorrow? Well, we've not trained. We're going to see the same Ollie ball tomorrow because they're going to look disjointed.
Not if he makes changes, because some guys are hungry. This is what I'm saying. Some people are hungry and trying to prove themselves. He needs to make changes. Some of those guys are not involved in that.
And some of the problems we had the last game were just basic quality, like get the ball and control it. Just move it.
Keeping the ball. That's it. Keeping the ball.
Get the ball. This is my problem with Rashford.
Dominating.
Yeah, big time. And this is my problem with Rashford is every single player in the squad has the excuse of not being coached. Like they haven't been coached for a long while. But the thing is, you just get the basics right. Like Matic, for example, control the ball, lift your head, make a pass. If you are not coached, at least keep it simple. That's why people go on Martial and they go on Jadon Sancho at the beginning of the season. Those and Donny van de Beek, they will not shoot and they will not try to dribble past 3 players because the risk of that not succeeding is way too high, and the risk is losing possession and losing the shape and conceding a goal. So just get the basics right. Control the ball and pass it. Make accurate passes, safe passes at least, until you grow into the system and you get more time to actually do what you are required to do and what your talent allows you to do. Rashford can do much more than what he does, but just step by step. Like you need incremental steps and move forward in small steps so you can go to a bigger objective.
We have a big squad user. Was someone asking here? Rahul asking. He's asking here. Do you think the way the game's postponed will extend the season? I don't know, man. But it's going to be a problem this COVID thing because a lot of people are testing positive. Apparently they're saying that they're going to have to, get these guys tested every time. But you're going to have to bubble up these players. I just don't see unless they say to the fans that we're going to reduce the capacity or not have fans at all to keep the Premier League going. Then you lose that kind of the quality of the games, isn't it? You know what I mean?
Listen. Taking it fully off topic for like 5 seconds. I think this COVID malarkey is a load of rubbish. This Omnicom stuff, there's 0 deaths across the whole world, and it was found in Europe before anywhere. So it's just a malarkey, man. Like when you start looking at rules such as if I go to watch the new Spider-Man, I have to wear a mask. But if I go and get pissed up with my brethren in one pub, I don't have to wear a mask. Like it can't be that serious. But let's be honest. So for me, I think that if we can get Boris Johnson out here, forget the Glazers for now, people. Let's get Boris Johnson out here, change the rules.
If only Boris Johnson,
everything
United
back
fan.
on, man. But
He's
it's
getting
going
the
to
game
pose
on
an issue.
tomorrow.
We only have to look at what it was like, last season. And that's when
Boring,
everything
man.
kind of heated up, man. So it's going to cause an issue. It just depends how we deal with it. And do we have the squad depth to do it? I do believe we do. To get through it when we need to. And it may play in our favour, but I just hope it's not going to go down that route, man. 100%.
Mad.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You know what, Saeed? The thing is, we needed those 2 weeks of international break. We took too much time to sack Ole. Those weeks would have been very, very useful. Vital. Like, at least the players who are not playing as much, like the Matic, the Donny, all of the Ahmad, Elanga, all of Dalo, Teles, and those who are not being called on international duty. It would have been so useful.
Absolutely. It's not the whole team that have COVID. If you notice, we play better in an empty stadium. Listen, we probably do, you know what I mean? But Ollie had the micro kind of management, you know, he didn't have the fans going at him about his freestyle football, so it is what it is. But
I'm all down for the manager, yeah, but I'm not giving no one no shortcuts. Not to say that I'm not going to give him the time, but he's spoken very well. He's pointed people out. He's put people in their place. Go to Brentford and do the job. I don't want to hear about this one.
You think Man United will come out and just like not want to play it though?
Because he's talked the talk. He's been there, you know. He's the professor. He's the scientist. He knows all. He knows everything. This, that. Cool. Go and do the job. Just because we're saying bench this player, because like we've been saying certain people need to get benched. We can all see that. But I'm thinking he's never coached a club of this size. And people forget, yeah, like it doesn't matter who you are. You see, when you walk through those gates at Man United, yeah, it's like the Man United job is more important than certain small countries, than being a president of a small country, in terms of the amount of fan base and the people that support and are behind you as a manager. And I think it's a lot of pressure. And I think as much as he's speaking well and doing well, he understands that and I've been seeing it from the ex-players as well, in terms of just the other day, how they were talking. We won the game, but they were still talking a lot. He knows his first loss or anything like that, people are going to be on him. But you can't watch that. He's just got to be, I don't know, man. He's just got to go in there cold as ice, make the changes, implement what he wants to do, and says, cool, let's make it happen. And like he said, it's very difficult to change older players. Get those young boys in. These young boys are fit. They're ready. They will run for him. So all these youngsters, they will run for the manager. They will play his system. This is why he likes Lang and them man there, because they will run and he knows it and he gets it. And that's why I think he likes Rashford to extent, because he sees a bit like a Werner. You know what I'm saying? Where he can, you know, chase the balls and do all of that stuff. But, yeah, the young boys will run for him. And I think he's got to be, even if it means he thinks he's got to drop Ronaldo, he needs to just do what he's got to do. You know what I'm saying?
You know, that's going to be my next point, you know. I'll start with just you, Adam. This 4-2-2-2 formation. Do you think Ralph Rangnick will maybe kind of decide against that and say, you know what, these players are not adapted to this formation? Or have fans just got to be patient to say, you know what, that's why it might take about a month or two to kind of fully adapt, you know. He's only been here a week, you know. We have to remember he's only been here 1 week, you know. Just 1 week. And today the training session was off today. So it's like, you know, when does he have time to even prepare these guys for a full week?
Yeah, 100%. And I would stick with the 4-2-2-2 just because at least you have so many people in the middle that you don't get as overrun as you would in a, for example, 4-3-3. You have, and I think his biggest like the thing he wants to do the most is to keep clean sheets. Like he's working on the defensive solidity of the team, and I think by having 2-2-2 makes a lot of sense because now you have a lot of people in the axe in the middle, so it's easier to have a compact team when you have, and another thing, you have 2 players of each position, so that is a very important thing if you ask me. You have 2 midfielders, 2 creators, and 2 forwards, so you don't have to be one doing this and the other one doing this. You have usually it works well when you have pairs. Like 2 midfielders is good, 2 strikers is good, 2 wingers is essential, 2 number 8s is essential. When you have only 1 number 6, for example, in a 4-3-3, well, that player's responsibility is huge, and it's very likely to expose that player if the team is not coached well. If the player doesn't have the right attributes, it's not good enough. By having 2 players of each position in the front 4, in the front 6 actually, or whatever, 4-6, whatever, it gives you at least more stability. And you have 2 players doing the same job or almost the same job. It's easier for them to work as a unit. So I would personally stick with the 4-2-2-2 because it looks more solid, more compact, and players will grow into that position. So I would stay with this actually. I really would.
Leisure, what about you? Are you happy for Ragnick to continue the 4-2-2-2, or do you maybe think that it should be adapted better for these players who haven't really got the football intelligence to play this formation?
Well, I have to go back to his comments at the start. And, he was saying I have to kind of fit his... He doesn't really fit his style around the players in that respect. He has a system that's there, and he changes and switches the system according to the player's ability. Rather than the position they actually play. So it's more so about him having an identity, something Man United fans have been screaming for. Now, we can't pick and choose and start saying, yeah, well, I wanted an identity, but I wanted it to be 4-3-3. No, that's not your choice. You wanted identity. As a fan, that's as much as you should be able to ask for. You shouldn't be pissed off at anything else. As a fan, you have to look and go, well, at least I can see what we're trying to do. That's a start. And the 4-2-2-2, although I know, let's say, for example, we get Ten Hag, he will probably go 4-3-3. But the 4-2-2, and the way he does it, will still suit a Ten Hag's 4-3-3 because of the manner in which they play that formation. The formation doesn't actually make a difference. That's just a preference for the manager. But it's what you do within that formation that allows you to be able to go and play your game. So, Ten Hag and Rangnick are both heavy pressers on the pitch, but they just have a different idea of how to do that pressing in terms of with their formation. But I'm pretty sure like that those skills are transferable into the next manager because their overall game is to press high and to win that ball back early. So the fundamentals aren't an issue regarding the formation. But I would stick with Rangnick. I would stick with the 4-2-2-2, just knowing that if any player, let's be honest, if any player that we've got can get some consistency within their game, then they should be able to fit any system, any formation that still has the blueprint of being able to press high and win the ball back, in a short space of time. So, yeah, I'd stick with it. It makes sense. It gives the players something to focus on. It stops them from actually going backwards and doing their own thing, and it keeps them in check. And as I said, if you need coaching, you've got to have a foundation there set so they know what they're working towards.
Yeah. What about you, Musa?
Yeah, when you look at the system, the backs hasn't really changed much compared to the 4-2-3-1, if you think about it, because it's a back 4 and 2 in front of the back 4 anyway in that system. So it's really the front 4 who's had to kind of develop something different. I like the system because the question I'm asking myself, do we play with 2 or are they 2 6s? And this is for me what's important, because if it's 2 8s, then Pogba can play behind the 10, and so can a lot of people like Donny. And because what I've always heard is that he doesn't play with 6s, he just plays with 2 8s, 2 10s, and the strikers. You know what I'm saying? That's why he's not too worried about this hustle and bustle.
Look at this one. Look at that. Graham Potter requests FA to postpone Brighton's game against Wolves and Man United. Flipping hell, mate. What is going on?
Listen, and they said that the conspiracy theorists were mad, but they told us, they said they're going to give you so many injections and they're going to still tell you can't live your life. I don't know what's going on out here. It's mad.
What is going on, man? Like, seriously,
we didn't believe them. I was one of them. We said the conspiracy theorists were mad.
I was looking forward to Saturday, man. You know what I mean? The Old Trafford, man. Let me actually see if this is actually.
You know what I'm saying?
This
They
is that's
told
actually
us
true.
this is. I don't know what's
Yeah,
going on.
yeah.
But this is
Graham
what I'm
Potter
thinking.
confirms 3 or 4 of his Brighton players have tested positive, but he's not asked for the Premier League game to be postponed. So he's just waiting. It's a waiting game.
Yeah,
They're
because
trying to scare us.
it wouldn't be Potter himself asking the FA.
So
Sorry?
yeah, guys, as I was saying, I don't know if we're playing with 2 8s or 2 6s. Because I think if we're playing with 2 8s that we want to press, then there's a lot of people that can sit behind. And this is when I was saying that I believe Bruno can play as an 8, and so can Pogba play as an 8, as long as we're there to press the first ball, win it quickly, and move forward. Especially how we played against Palace, where we don't really have 2 6s behind the line. Everybody's in front of the line, especially the 2 8s and the 2 10s and the strikers. So if that's the case and that's how he plays, and he wants us to make sure we win the ball back then yeah, Pogba can play there with a Fred, and we can have Donny and like a Bruno, or Bruno on the bench, and we have Donny and Ahmed, or Donny and Sancho that we've had so far. You know what I'm saying? I don't really like seeing Greenwood there too much. I just want Greenwood to be going for the two positions up front. You know what I'm saying? I want to see him more there, but he's been coming. What I've seen from Ragnick is like he's saying the 2 young players, the 2 star youngsters that we have in the team, being Sancho and Greenwood, they're kind of fighting for a position. It's either one or the other. And I want to get into that. You know what I'm saying? Because what's happened is that when Sancho's actually done better than certain man that should be coming off, like Rashford, we've seen him come off and Greenwood come on, and it's like, does Greenwood only come on for Sancho? Can't Greenwood come on for Rashford? Why are you like, and I've seen that in 2 games, and I don't want that to be an ongoing thing where he's like, you 2 youngsters are vying for one position. I would like to think that he will do something more different than that. But other than that, I've got no problem with the system, but he just needs to change. I think there's better suited players for this system who will keep the ball. I think Donny and Ahmed keep the ball. I just think they keep it. I think they keep it very nicely, very simple, and they play nice balls. So that being the case, get them on the pitch then.
Absolutely. Well, we'll see. We'll see tomorrow. Hopefully, tomorrow if we play. I'm going to go for 2-1 tomorrow prediction. Adam, what are you going for?
I'm going to go against Brentford. Probably 2-1. 2-1 as well. Just, I hope we get a clean sheet. But I'll go with 2-1 because they are good, Brentford, and they are quite big. Like, they are quite a big size club. Like, we will have a hard time physically to deal with them. So, and that if Lindelof and Maguire starts, strong players will give them trouble.
Absolutely.
So 2-1. I'll go with you, Said. I agree with you. 2-1.
Leiji, what about you?
If I'm okay to you, before I give you the prediction, Fabrizio retweeted saying Martial is not happy with his game time, as we know. He wants to be a starter and an important player. At the moment, he wants to change. He wants something different. So at the moment, that's how it stands. So obviously, read into that what you want, but that could change depending on Rangnick. So
exactly. And quickly, we don't know the quotes that his agent quotes of last week. Maybe they are 2 or 3 weeks old, like what happened with the Pogba before Leipzig game the year before, and and you can't blame Martial to want to leave when Ole was still there, because I would want to leave too, just not getting into it. So at the moment, as you said, read into it what you want.
Yeah, I agree with that, bro. But yeah, before I move on, my score prediction. I did say 2-2 originally. The only reason I said that was because of the Norwich game. It was like that team's had an extra 7 days to practice. It's the same team, and they just slipped into old habits. Then players were shocking. And Ralph didn't really make me feel any more comfortable with his substitutions, or lack of substitutions, shall we say. So, I wasn't too happy with that. But again, do I believe if we do play good football, I think we could get a 3-2, maybe a 3-1 if we do play. If we do what we did against Crystal Palace for 70 minutes, I think we can get a 3-1.
Absolutely. Musa, what about you, bro? What do you think tomorrow?
Boy, to be honest, man, I don't want to be a damper, but I'm going for 1-0 United, the Gea man of the match again, man. It's just
I know it's gonna happen, man. I think we just gotta get through these times, man.
We gotta get through these times. But I just want, like I said earlier, I just want the on the board. So I'm going there tomorrow. Get us a 1-0, the Gea man of the match again. Seeing a bit of pressing in the first half. If we can have similar to Crystal Palace, I'll be more than happy. come out the first half, press, play well, you know, maybe not get the goals we deserve, get a 1-0, maybe have to hold on because they're pressuring us. The Gaya do his thing. We leave there 1-0, 3 points, and we're seeing that they're learning. I just want to see that they're getting it into their brains, bro.
Absolutely, absolutely. And King USG, we don't know, bro. We should be able to know because shout out to Adam Matic. Big up to Adam, but he's actually booked a hotel. You know, so he was looking to stay overnight. So he needs to know. A lot of people need to know, man. It's not easy, man. It's 7:30 kickoff. You don't want to be traveling back all the way from London. So yeah, man, big up to Adam. But yeah, they need to find out as soon as possible. But yeah, people, we're gonna wrap up the podcast here. Shout out to everybody who tuned in. You get me? I did a couple of uploads today, so I don't know if people got notifications from it. But big up to everybody who tuned in. I'm gonna go around and just see where people can find the panel. Shout out to you, Adam. First, where can they find you?
Yeah, on Twitter at Adam Manred. And thanks to everybody. Thanks to you, Saeed.
Absolutely, anytime, man, anytime. Neji, thanks for coming on, bro. Appreciate that.
Yeah, love King. If you want to get at me in the Twitter Spaces, it's Sunshine47, SONSHINE 47. Everything Man United, man. You're more than welcome to come into the Spaces.
Absolutely, absolutely. And Mulsama, where can they find you as well?
Yeah, Reso CIC, still doing our work. We're just closing up the end of the year with a couple outreaches, some charity works. I had Vix come down, you know, Vix on Toro. Vix does a bit of rapping in that.
Yeah.
If you guys don't, Vix is London-based. He came down earlier to do drop off some trainers. He dropped off like 20 pairs. So we're going to be doing some drops this week. Obviously, it's coming up to Christmas. We're going to be going into some young people, providing them with fresh trainers. Anyone who don't know, I run Reso. It's a charity organization. It's basically JD Sports or Foot Locker, but we give out free trainers to young people, homeless people, you know, people in need. We make sure shoes get to the right people, and we promote foot health and sustainability. So catch me on Reso.
Make sure. Yeah, but make sure you go check them out, people. And yeah, tomorrow, hopefully we can do the game. So the watch along will be tomorrow. Hopefully I'll be live maybe about 7 o'clock. So please tune in for that one. Hopefully the game is on because this is good for everyone's mental health. As much as United have been poor last couple of years, you know, we do want to see football, man. So at the end of the day, tomorrow I will be live, hopefully, for the watch along. So big up to everyone for that. And yeah, man, enjoy the rest of the evening. Enjoy the rest of your night. United, let's go Madrid in the next round, eh? We'll see. Take care. Bye-bye. Peace.